If you regularly hit behind the ball and don't make pure, crisp contact every time, listen up, because I'm going to give you one thing you've probably never heard today about how to get your divots to bottom out in front of the ball instead of behind the ball. Hitting the ball fat, it stinks. It's the worst shot you can possibly hit. At least if you hit it thin, it's still going to go somewhere. It may not go where you wanted it to, but at least it's going to go downrange. If you chunk it, the ball may dribble a quarter as far as you wanted it to go and end up in a lake. So hitting the ball crisp and clean is really the secret and the key to iron play, because with every other club in the bag, you can kind of get away with some stuff. You've got a driver, it's on the tee, you got a 3-wood, a lot of times it's on a tee, but with the irons, you're hitting down sharply, you've got very little bounce angle here and a very small sole to help recover from a mistake, so the club wants to dig pretty easily, and so we have to make sure that we've got all of the parameters set up to make sure that we hit the ball first, and it all comes down to one simple thing, and that is, if you're hitting behind it, you typically are using too much of the right side at the wrong time. Now there could be a couple things that could go wrong there. One, you could be not shifting your weight correctly, and that is often caused because of the right side dominance that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But typically, the most common way is pushing too hard with the right arm. You can push too hard with the right wrist. If you're scoopy and you chicken wing like this after impact, I can guarantee you that's exactly what's causing it. It's the only way that creates that movement. So if your left wrist and elbow are broken down at impact, you're pushing too hard with your right wrist and right arm. If you're casting the club, throwing the club, and you look like this halfway down, you're pushing too hard with the right arm. So what you're doing is you're making the dominant part of the body the right side, and that moves the bottom of your swing arc back. Now let me explain what I mean by that. So I'm just going to stand here with a normal stance and if I just swing with my right arm only, what you'll see is that the divot is going to bottom out basically at the point where the club is the furthest point away from the center of my shoulder socket, which is right there. So if I put a ball there, I'd hit that ball cleanly and consistently every time, but you'll see the ball is way back in my stance. This is what every amateur golfer tends to do, is that they start moving the ball further and further back in their stance because they start hitting the ball chunky, and all of a sudden now, when you've got the ball off your back foot, why would you ever shift your weight? If I'm playing the ball back here, which is what so many amateurs do, and I made a proper weight shift and had the divot where it's supposed to be, I'd actually completely miss the ball or top it. So you start getting into this never-ending circle of band-aid fixes instead of fixing the right thing, which is shifting your weight and using the left side as the dominant move. That will move your divot forward. But if you keep moving the ball further and further back in your stance, you're always going to be stuck playing crappy golf because you're never going to be able to sequence the downswing correctly because you can't shift your weight correctly. So now let's take the ball out of the equation again, and now let's just put the club 100% on my left arm. So now what you're going to see is, where does the swing bottom out here? Well, now it bottoms out at the club's point, the furthest point away from the center of my shoulder socket at the ground. So now my bottom of my swing arc is way up here. When we've got the ball way back here, I'm going to miss it. So when you put both hands on the club, it tends to balance out the bottom of the swing arc and move it back slightly. We don't have it up here off our left toe, but it's somewhere a few inches back of that. That's why the left ear, or the logo on your shirt, is a common golf instruction analogy for where the ball placement should be, because the divot should technically bottom out in front of that, which is going to be up here closer to your lead shoulder. So the whole key to this is understanding which arm is dominant in your swing. If I make all left arm swings, my bottom of my swing arc is never going to be back here. If I make all right arm swings, it will be. So now you know the key to what's causing you to chunk the ball. If you want to learn how to stop doing this, take a look at this bonus video. Click the link you see up in the corner or down in the description. I'm going to show you drills that I've got that will help you see exactly where the bottom of your swing arc is going to be, and drills that are going to help you move it forward so you can start hitting the ball clean, pure, and crisp, just like the pros.